Hey everybody! Welcome back to the channel. Becoming a parent is one of the most amazing, rewarding, and sometimes confusing experiences in life. One of the biggest mysteries? Figuring out what your little one is trying to tell you. Those adorable bundles of joy may not be fluent in any language, but they are experts in communicating their needs. So today, we're going to decode that secret language together. Get ready to understand your little one like never before. Okay, first up, let's talk about rooting. You know that adorable thing babies do where they turn their heads and open their mouths like they're searching for something? That's their inner foodie calling. It's a natural reflex, and it usually means one thing. Hey, I'm hungry, feed me. Now they're out in the world and they still expect that 5-star treatment. Responding to their rooting quickly is key. It prevents them from getting fussy and helps them feel secure. And here's a little tip. If your baby is rooting but hasn't had a feeding in a while, it could also be a sign of thirst. So make sure you're offering fluids throughout the day, especially in warmer weather. Now let's talk about those tiny thumbs. Babies love to suck on their fingers or fists. Sometimes thumb sucking is simply a way for babies to self-soothe. It's like their own built-in pacifier. They're discovering their hands and it feels good to them. Other times it can be a sign of hunger, especially if they're doing it right before a feeding. And if you notice your little one gnawing on their fist more than usual, those little teeth might be getting ready to make their grand entrance. The key is to pay attention to the context. What's going on around them? When was the last time they ate? Once you start noticing the patterns, you'll become a pro at deciphering those tiny thumb-sucking cues. Have you ever noticed your baby clenching their fists? Those little fists can actually tell you a lot about what your baby is feeling. If you see those tiny fingers curled up tight, it could be a sign of hunger, especially if it's paired with other cues like rooting or lip smacking. But clenched fists can also be a sign of frustration. Maybe they're trying to reach for a toy and can't quite grasp it yet. Or maybe they're just feeling a little overwhelmed by the world around them. Sometimes a clenched fist is nothing to worry about at all. It can simply be a way for babies to explore their hand muscles. Chapter 4. Time for a lullaby, yawns, and sleepy cues. If your baby is yawning, rubbing their eyes, or just looking a little glazed over, chances are they're tired. Being a baby is exhausting work. They're constantly learning, growing, and exploring their new world. So those yawns and sleepy eyes are their way of telling you, okay, I need a break from all this excitement. And here's the thing about babies and sleep. They need a lot of it. Newborns especially can sleep up to 16 to 18 hours a day. Create a calm and soothing bedtime routine, dim the lights, maybe sing a little lullaby, and let your little one drift off to dreamland. Don't fight those sleepy cues. Chapter 5. Baby back bends, the art of the arch. Has your little one ever surprised you with a sudden back arch? This little move can actually be a sign that something isn't quite right. One of the most common reasons for baby back bends is discomfort. Imagine wearing a onesie that's too tight or having a diaper that needs changing. If your baby arches their back during or after feeding, it could be a sign of reflux, gas, or even just needing to be burped. If the back arching is accompanied by excessive crying or seems to be causing your baby real pain, it's always best to check in with your pediatrician. Chapter 6. Sensory overload, giving your baby some space. We all need a break from the hustle and bustle sometimes, right? Well, babies are no exception. They can get overstimulated much more easily than adults. Everything is new to them. The sights, the sounds, the smells, it's a lot to take in. If you notice your baby turning their head away, covering their face, or getting a little fussy during playtime, it might be their way of saying, okay, I need a timeout. They're not trying to be difficult. They're just letting you know that their little senses are overloaded. Try moving to a quieter environment, dimming the lights, or simply giving them some space to chill out. Chapter 7. The startle reflex. It's not always a jump scare. Have you ever been startled by a sudden noise? Babies experience that too, but tenfold. It's called the Moro reflex or the startle reflex, and it's a perfectly normal response to sudden stimuli. You might notice your baby throwing their arms out, spreading their fingers, and then quickly bringing their arms back in. While the startle reflex is completely natural, it can be a bit unsettling for both baby and parent. The good news is there are ways to help your little one feel more secure. Chapter 8. The soothing power of suck. finding comfort and calm. Remember how we talked about babies loving to suck on their fingers and fists? Well, that love of sucking goes beyond just hands. It's actually a deeply ingrained instinct that provides comfort, security, and even helps them regulate their emotions. You might notice your baby sucking on a pacifier, their thumb, or even just making sucking motions with their mouth. This is their way of self-soothing and finding a sense of calm in their world. Sucking releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting and pain-relieving effects. So next time you see your little one happily sucking away, just know they're giving themselves a little dose of self-care. Chapter 9. Tummy Troubles, Decoding the Gurgles and Groans. Let's be honest, we've all experienced those moments of tummy troubles, right? Those gurgles, groans, and the occasional urge to escape to the bathroom. Babies experience those too, but they don't have the luxury of discreetly excusing themselves. So how can you tell if your little one is having a tummy ache? One word: grunting. Those adorable little grunts and strains are often a sign that their digestive system is working hard. If the grunting is accompanied by excessive crying, a hard belly, or your baby seems to be in pain, it's always a good idea to check in with your pediatrician. Chapter 10. Smiles and coos, the language of love. When your baby flashes you that gummy grin or lets out a sweet little coo, your heart melts, right? Those smiles and coos are their way of saying, "I love you, you make me happy." Responding to those smiles and coos with your own expressions of love and affection strengthens that special bond you share. Every time you smile back, talk to them, or simply cuddle them close, you're nurturing their emotional and social development. Chapter 11. Intense crying, when to call for backup. Let's face it, babies cry. It's their primary way of communicating, and sometimes those cries can be downright intense. But how can you tell the difference between a cry that says, "I'm hungry," and a cry that says, "Something's not right"? Trust your instincts. If their cry sounds different, if it's more high-pitched or urgent, if it's accompanied by other symptoms like fever, vomiting, or diarrhea, don't hesitate to reach out to your pediatrician. It's always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to your little one's health. Outro your parenting journey, trust your instincts. And there you have it, folks. 11 secret signals your baby uses to communicate with you. Remember, parenting is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns, and moments where you feel like you're deciphering a foreign language. But here's the good news, you're not alone. Every parent goes through it. Trust your instincts. You've got this. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to subscribe for more fun and informative videos.